Hey, I'm JRLA, and welcome to the Level Up Business Podcast. What if the most powerful way to grow your business isn't just being remarkable? What if there's something more than that? What if the most powerful way to grow your business is by being and becoming retellable? To help answer this question, I'd like to introduce you to Jeremy Macliver. Jeremy is a visionary entrepreneur. He is an EOS implementer, and he is the founder of the Be Retellable Movement, a philosophy that's not just reshaping brands, but it's reshaping lives. And before we unlock Jeremy's unique wisdom, are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to turn video content just like this into a published book so that you can elevate your brand and increase your influence? If you are, send me a text. Text me 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you. I want to show you how you can transform your past experiences as an entrepreneur into IP that monetizes your unique wisdom. Now, let's get ready to learn. Let's get ready to grow. Let's get ready to level up together with Jeremy. Jeremy, I know one of the things that's really driving your thinking, your way of being, is two words. And it's interesting to watch your journey and how you're getting clarity. Because when you and I started first working together, these two words weren't even in the field of vision, yet the vocabulary, but it's just been through this iterative creative process that you're like, this is who I am. This is who I'm becoming. This is who I'm going to continue to be. Two words: be retellable.
Absolutely. No, it's been a fun discovery process with you. Taken from the very get-go, and you start pulling us through the whole thinking thing. Really, we were working on content, and as you pulled it, it just definitely pulled from a lot of different areas, and it's very authentic.
What does that mean to you? Be retellable, because like I said, when we did start working together, it just wasn't there, but it's now it's so crystal clear. Even the title of the book that you're working on and we're working on together, I'm like, we have to plant the flag. You have to plant the flag and continue to elevate your brand around these two words. But I think you use the word authentic. Why is this so important to you? Be retellable. What does that mean?
Yeah, so retellable, first of all, what's it mean? It means you did something or you are something that generates another story. We all live in story. We all share each other's stories. We all connect through stories. And a lot of times, particularly, I do a lot in business, but all of my retellables, not just there, we flatline though when we go over to that arena. Like, it's just goals and objectives and get stuff done to make money, when truthfully the ones that are having the most fun and making the most money are typically doing something that's retellable. They're doing it at a level that people are compulsed by no other thing than they're excited by it to tell it again.
Well, it was funny whenever you and I were recently recording a session to unlock and capture your mind and your thinking for your upcoming book. I didn't know it at the time, but you were telling a story. You brought up Buc-ee's. And I was telling you about Buc-ee's, and it was putting your perspective and principles around retellable and being retellable into practice. And it was so subconscious. I wasn't even aware what was happening at that point. And you even told me, you were like, why did you, and maybe I think for those watching and listening, I think a little bit of context is helpful. Buc-ee's is out of Texas. They're continuing to expand. They've taken the idea of the stop on the interstate and have taken it to a whole new level. A lot of people think, well, is it their bathrooms, their cleanliness? Is it their experience, their employees? I mean, they just a very retellable experience. But you were telling me when you made your Buc-ee's stop and why. What inspired that?
Yeah, somebody told me. Like, yeah, so it's funny because I stopped on the highway in Texas. I'm from Arizona, so we don't have Buc-ee's here. But a coach that I have, and strategic coach, told stories about going to Bucky's. And so I'm driving down the highway. I don't have to go to the bathroom. I don't need gas. I'm not hungry. But what do I see? A Bucky's. And I'm like, I got to swing into this place. Like, I've heard people talk about it. Like, I got to go. I don't even know why. And I probably spent $100 there on stupid. Yeah, now I do want a snack, and this little sign for my wife would be funny. I was all by myself. I wasn't with my family. Like, there's nobody else to even enjoy it with. But somebody said you got to do this, right? And it's just cool because that's a gas station convenience store on the highway, and there's plenty of those out there. But somehow they've generated a different way of existing, and there's so many things like that, JR, that are they're they're not astronomically different than everything else. They're 10, 15, 20% max better, but it just changes the whole perspective.
I think what's interesting when it comes to your belief, your philosophy around being retellable is that this isn't just about business. This you told me the other day, you're like, I want to live a retellable life. And now that's going to trickle down into different areas, your family experiences, the work that you're doing as an entrepreneur. But when I was thinking about being retellable, it took something and it almost leveled up in my own mind. I think a lot of brands, and they might even use this word, I want to be remarkable. Being retellable, though, takes remarkable and just raises it up to a whole new level. You can be remarkable, but is anyone going to tell others about how remarkable you are? You want to be retellable. What what can other entrepreneurs do to be retellable, to become retellable, and then to maintain that perspective in their own businesses? Like you said, it's just small little things.
It's small things, but maybe before I talk about what they can do, I'll talk about why they don't.
Mm.
You know, most visionary entrepreneurs that I meet have lots of ideas. We even make fun of them. They're the easiest ones in the entire team to make fun of because they got 20 ideas before breakfast. They just generate these, and most of them are off the wall. The challenge is this happens so much that it becomes funny, and I make jokes about it. They make jokes about it. And there's a spot though that it goes too far. And then I start noticing that they start saying things like, yeah, I know I always got crazy ideas, or I'm too intense, or and they start saying those things like they're like the sky is blue, which starts limiting things down and starts to mute the entire existence of them. And they are the fire that's going to light within the company. And so the whole company becomes muted, right? And so if you're listening to this, I would completely picture you already have something that is retellable. You just might not be comfortable saying it out loud or communicating it in a way that's passionate or believing that other people want to do it. Sometimes we say it, but we don't believe anybody else wants to do it with us.
Mm.
And so that's a big part of this, is just transferring that, getting what those cool things that you got going on or you can think of, and
I
creating a story and an experience out of them.
and I think that's what's been really not just interesting but fun working together is you're taking your past experiences through the work that you're doing in session, and then you're writing those down, capturing them with Katie, documenting them, But then you and I are getting together and expanding upon that, revisiting it, looking at it from a couple of different lenses. And so what was historically could have just been a one and done experience in a session with a client where you're coaching them is now becoming amplified. It's now becoming multiplied. How many experiences do you think other entrepreneurs have from just you working with entrepreneurs and being an entrepreneur yourself that we don't value because it's what we do every single day? So we become almost numb to it. But that is what makes us as entrepreneurs different. And if we just simply had just the courage to share that with others, how that wisdom could make a positive impact in someone else's life.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been a lot of fun working with you on this. You talk about uncovering our unique wisdom, but really it's put together a lot of the puzzle pieces of, you can get a unique wisdom puzzle box, but it's all in a box, and hopefully all the pieces are there. But working with you and asking the questions and pulling and starts to organize a lot of those puzzle pieces. And I think that, well, I know when working with teams that they got a lot of things that experiences taught them. Just a team yesterday, uh, they're going after some massive big deals, some national deals, and the owner is like, "Well, you would never do this or this because you do that, they can come that way, and you do this." And everybody on the team was sitting there like, "Wow!" It was. We ended up using his name uh, process, and they're going to go unpack that thing because he knew how to go out and do something that was very unique, but could massively win in the marketplace. But to him, it was water, air, and a blue sky. And to us, we were like, well, that is brilliant.
Do you find that entrepreneurs might, I don't know if it's an inherent thing, is it a belief thing, but undervalue what makes them unique?
Yes, short answer. Um, and the long answer is it comes through a lot of different ways. One is some of those things are just natural and they can't understand. I had a team. We say entrepreneurs, but really it's the visionary entrepreneurs that we're leaning into
Mm-hmm.
with lots of crazy ideas. And this this guy could just go out to an event and make it rain like none other. Like work would flood in. He would win massive big deals, and everybody would ask, "What'd you do?" And he like, "I don't know. I just went and talked to a bunch of people." And like, "Well, we went and talked to a bunch of people, and nothing happened." He's like, and he would just go along, and they couldn't even pick up the differences, but it was just this innate ability to connect and to see opportunity. Another leader was telling me about hurricanes, and he goes, "You go to a hurricane, and they do a lot of storm cleanup kind of. Well, they do a lot of house stuff all around the building envelope, and he was telling me, you go to the hurricane, and it's like there's people up on roofs trying to figure out what's going on, and there's trees laying. It's just total chaos, and like God gave us hundreds of millions of dollars laying right there. Why are we not going and picking it up?" Like he
Yeah.
sees a completely different reality than everybody else was seeing right there
Mm-hmm.
because he's an entrepreneur. And I know it almost sounds bad to say, okay, the hurricane, they did all the opportunity, but he's seeing opportunity where nobody else sees it. Everybody else is seeing all of the challenges, the risk, and he's like, it's flowing in the streets. And so there's a part of it that the lenses are different.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is it's not always appreciated. And so sometimes the lens is different. And it might have been different when they were in school, when they were kids, when they're growing up, family reunions, and they hear it. And it affects them. Because, yeah, they were intense. They did see opportunity where nobody is. They were, trading kids, stuff to make money and do it. I've heard more crazy ways to make money in the school system from entrepreneurs that you could imagine.
I've always said, when I was in high school, I was a song dealer, not a drug dealer. And because it was early internet, it was 1999, Napster had just come out. My dad was a computer engineer. We were one of the very first families to get DSL, and we had a CD burner. And it's like at that point, I was like, oh, massive opportunity. CDs back in the day were 15, 20 bucks. And all you would want was maybe one or two songs off the whole album. And so I'd go to school and I'd ask my friends, 20 songs for 10 bucks. What you want? And next day, come back. They get 20 songs. I get my 10 bucks. And guess what? Becomes retellable. It's like,
You know what the funny thing about that story is? Like, if we really look at it, I want to just break it down for a second because it's the first I've heard that one, but it's a great story. It's a little bit embarrassing because it was, essentially taking somebody else's work and reselling it, right?
yeah, it was a little illegal back then.
But let's look at Steve Jobs.
Mm.
Steve Jobs saw the exact same opportunity you saw. You guys saw the exact same one.
It's interesting when you talk about opportunities because you're even taking me back to right after that, another entrepreneurial venture was with a friend from high school. We are now freshmen in college. He was at Baylor University, and I was at the University of Houston, Clear Lake. Actually, no, I was still at San Jac. I was at a junior college and had just started taking some web design, web development classes, ASP.NET, MS SQL, some database stuff, and MS Access, actually, Microsoft Access. And he called me up one day, first semester. His name was Robin. He said, hey, the bookstore, it's a ripoff. I'm total ripoff. You buy a book for 150 bucks. They might give you 10 bucks back when you sold it back in the semester. He said, can we build something? I'm like, yeah. So we got together and he launched up at Baylor, and it was bearswap.com. And if you go back to the Wayback Machine on the internet, you can go search BearSwap, and there's still like the archives of the old website. And the whole premise of BearSwap was to connect students with students and bypass the bookstore. So it was peer-to-peer. And so I have this book. You have this book. We either swap the books or we do a cash deal. There was no like online exchange of money. I mean, this was 2001 at this point. And so we were like, man, we're going to take this. And he was making money by going to local retailers and selling ads. He was basically selling clicks and eyeballs. So then I was like, we're going to take this. We're going to license it. We're going to go to all the other universities. We're going to beat the bookstore. Well, around 2002, another guy out of Harvard had a much bigger vision for connecting people online. All I was looking at was just the book piece of this, and we were going to tie in a professor rating system too. And then once Face Mash, the Facebook launched, our little BearSwap book trading idea that we're going to take to other universities quickly, as fast as it grew to about 15,000 users, it dropped just as fast overnight. But the big lesson that I learned though was the power of really technology, even in 2001, 2002, of connecting people together, because it's the human connection. It's stories. You mentioned stories before, and I think that's one of the reasons just working with you has been such a pleasure to take your mind, your experiences, your ideas, your insight, download that, put this into a book that's then going to go and elevate your brand, increase your influence. You've done this already, though, a couple times. What's the difference? I mean, you've got 2 books already out, but what's the
Yeah.
difference between this experience? Because you worked with another publisher before, you did it yourself the second time, but this time it's like, I think I mentioned like a content sparring partner, for lack of a better word, but what's the difference here?
Yeah, so this one has been definitely a lot better. In the last, I've enjoyed every one of the books, but the digging deep and the capturing the voice and the like I said, content sparring partners. Yeah, I come at it and then you challenge it and you pull it out, and really that's that all of the different pieces that are going on, putting them back, all the puzzle pieces together, going, oh, there is a little more there that we could we could capture and transfer. So it's been an absolute enjoyable experience. I've told people about this Retellable. Uh,
Yeah.
my last book, until it was farther along, I didn't mention it. Why? Because I once it's a spot where we're pushing it, I'm good. But the team, I don't talk about it forever because then it feels like it can be a lot of work to write a book, and so just kind of keep it under this one here. I pulled out it in session, had a client read a little. Hey, look, here's what's coming, and just really enjoying it because it's so innate and connecting to who I am, my clients' experiences, putting those puzzles pieces together, getting that from you and your Audrey, and just the way that it's all worked has been by far a fun experience. The funnest of all the book writings, but just in general a fun experience.
It has been fun, and I feel like for me, it's taken a while as an entrepreneur, but to finally fall into like what Dan over at Strategic Coach, unique ability. It's like people would tell me all the time, man, you open up space, you ask really good questions, you're really getting them to think in different ways that I haven't thought before. To use what we were talking about before, I didn't see it. It just was just natural to me. And I've been this way since I was in high school, maybe even before. Probably not before. I was this shy, nerdy kid. But I started to break out of my shell in high school and started to ask a lot of questions and lead and really challenge and but respectfully but come to new conclusions or help other people come to conclusions. You mentioned sharing this early and often, and I think something too, it's like you brought this to your wife, and I thought when you told me about when you brought this to your wife, she said something along the lines of, and all credit goes to Audrey for this. Like, and this is where once again we're working as a team, we're working as a unit. Everyone's working in unique ability here. But your wife said something along the lines of, "Man, that's as close to getting to your voice as I've seen before." Because that's an important thing for me working with other entrepreneurs. Like, these are your ideas, this is your insight, this is your IP, this is your voice, this is your brand, and we want to do everything we can to honor that.
It's my sentence structure, it's my word usage, it's my tone, it's the speed of it. It's it's nailed, and it's been enjoyable because my unique ability isn't the actual putting the sentences together. I couldn't even say that sentence correctly. It's the speaking, right? And to enjoy to communicating it, and then you've been good at pulling it out, getting it to the thoughts right there, and then Audrey capturing it and pulling it into some great words, and then the collaborative that's gone on since then, about different little things that she's changing or tweaking or understanding it. It has been the easiest collaborative environment that I've ever existed in, to where I feel completely comfortable giving my utmost criticism on something, right? and then watching it done, not like I said, but like I intended.
Mm.
And it's just, and then come back with like something else and something else, and to the point now that it's a wonderfully enjoyable collaboration. Because sometimes when you're collaborating with somebody that's done some nice, websites or artwork or logo design or even writing, and you say, hey, I don't like the way that that's positioned there. I would like it over here. There's a fence taken, and you have to like politically work through those. Now here it's just wide open. We just laugh, enjoy it, move it, shift it. Oh, it's been something where when I get a part of the transcript, I'm pretty much reading it that night because I'm excited.
And I think the other neat thing comes back to not just unlocking and capturing your ideas and your insight and your IP, but then it's like now we've got 12 hours worth of your perspective that's been captured. And as this process continues, book gets published, starting to share that perspective, which is the third piece of this. Now we get to monetize this. Now we get to build workshops and community and it's this kind of a flywheel effect. You got to get it going, but it's that, I think for me, that was the biggest frustration for publishing two books myself, which really inspired me launching Level Up Business for my own pain and my own frustration as an entrepreneur and an author. It's like, there's got to be a better way. We can do this. And then also leveraging, my work in the digital world. And it's like the intersection, if you will. If you think about the progress you've made and you look ahead to this retellable, just be retellable, live a retellable life, build a business worth retelling, get results worth retelling. What are you most hopeful and excited about as you just look ahead to the future that you're creating yourself to be retellable as an entrepreneur?
You know, the most exciting part is I don't know what the next step is, which has never been my MO. Super driven, super goal oriented, and it's unleashing an area. I know in a lot of different things that I've done over my life that are retellable, I've been able to rally a group and enjoy and have fun with it. And so doing this inside of a brand is real. It's fun. So I don't know what the next step is, and I'm actually excited about that because we are doing something together on that. I mean, I have a great business, good income, good amount of time off, all of those things, and now I get to do something to that next level.
As we wrap up, and I mean, this has just it's been a lot of fun. And I'm looking forward to continuing. I think the word here is you mentioned collaboration, and I've thought about this over the years. Cooperation means you're going to work well together. Collaboration, though, it's something deeper. Collaboration is you're co-creating together.
Yeah.
And I'm excited about the continued co-creation, but I'm going to bring this all the way back to how we started this discussion. And it's all about you, just being retellable. For other entrepreneurs who are watching and listening, and they want that. They want that for themselves. They want to live a retellable life. They probably are. But what would you recommend for them to continue that journey to be retellable? What's one thing that they can commit to do next? Something small, but one thing that would ensure that they continue to be retellable.
I would say write their crazy ideas down. They move so fast. They got so many. When you write it down, don't critique it, don't do any of that. And you're the only person. So it allows you to settle with it before it's being blasted by others. So just write down, journaling, thinking it through, processing it that way.
When I
And
think about
then
was
and
it
then the
let me
second thing I would say real quick, because
right.
I want to hit something you said about collaboration that I think is really, really important for everybody. Collaboration, one of the things I really appreciate about working with you, particularly JR, and we talked about Audrey, and it's been amazing there. But you particularly, when you say collaboration, it doesn't mean that you're always agreeing with me. And you've a couple times called out things that we were going down a path where I was going one way, you were going another way, and the way that what you guys were doing in that specific setting wasn't working right for what was in my best interest. And I value that. That is a true collaboration. And so when you start writing down, you start becoming open to your ideas. But then when you can find somebody that you can bounce those ideas off of, you have complete confidence that they're going to tell you exactly how they stand. They're not challenging it to challenge it, or they're not challenging it to not do it. They're not like they'll call out when they're not on it. They'll call out when you're not on it. You say co-create at that point. That's fun.
I remember one of those instances, and I remember the day I called you. It's very vivid to me. I'm like, "Hey, dude, we need to talk. I'm not feeling how things are progressing." But one of our 7 virtues is to tell the truth. Like, we have 7 virtues that we live by. I'm wearing one right now. I have them on t-shirts. Memento mori, remember your death. It's like, every every person dies, but not every person truly lives. And I think that idea, if you want to truly live, you got to be retellable. You got to do retellable things. And come back to writing things down, because I think it's such a simple, practical, yet often overlooked activity. Because, oh, we're so busy. Oh, I don't have time. But that is what's given you the perspective and the insight and the ideas to really leverage your past experiences, whether it was the last year, or as we continue to progress, we're going to start looking at a quarterly. It's like, and then a weekly. It's like every time you're in session, you and Katie, another collaboration, it's like you download those ideas to Katie, and you had struggled about this in the past, but it's like you add in another perspective. You're now able to start unlocking that, getting an accelerant. How do you do this? Because you recommended this, but how do you practically get your ideas out of your head, write them down? Is it journaling? Is it working with Katie? What does that look like for you as we wrap up?
Yes. um, so part of it is systemized because there are certain areas where I'm in things, and you know and things are being picked up, and so we have a spot to write, and then she can capture it and she can bring us back to them. And the other part, I guess I would say, is systemized, but in a very different way. It's systemized because there are certain moments that I know that I'm going to go. I personally like to go to the coffee shop. Um, it's busy, it's noisy, and I don't have to talk to anybody. But that seems to be that right amount for me to kind of just go and say, okay, what's going on? Reflect, just think through it all. And just so you know, even I wrote 2 books before I started journaling. So you think as a writer all along, I've always thought journaling and writing your ideas down and processing them, I don't know. I just didn't think it was very productive. And what I've learned over the years is that it's actually pulling those thoughts into something that's real, that you can actually tangibly process. Because we all think, but then there's like that gray fuzzy at the end of it all. And so we move to the next thought and then the next one, and we don't conclude things. And so by writing down, you begin to conclude, you begin to create, and you begin to be able to look and tangibly reflect on it. And so I've written all, it doesn't all have to be my crazy ideas. Sometimes it's like, man, why didn't work, or I didn't like the way that I showed up today, or all of those things help us to make those real so that we can do something with them and we can move forward.
Do you mind if I build upon that idea?
Go for it.
to send you and everyone who's watching and listening off with something very practical, because I think the idea of writing can be very intimidating sometimes if you've never done this before. Journaling, for example, where do I start? It's like there's a blank page. I've developed dozens of strategic thinking tools with my other business, but I'm also now starting to see how those strategic thinking tools can come back to help capture ideas. And one of them is, it's a framework called Ideas for Growth, IDEAS, and it's an acronym to where if you think about your last week, or you could do it at the end of the day, but the week is a really good cadence. It's like, what were my big ideas this week? So that's the question. What were my big ideas this week? And you write down the top 3 to 5 to 10 insights, which is the I. Just free write. Set a timer. Then go back and self-select. Decide what you feel like are the most valuable insights that you wrote down from your lived, learned, shared experience. So if you write 10, pick 3. If you wrote 5, pick 2. If you wrote 3, just pick 1. So you're deciding. Then expand upon them and give them some meaning. So IDE. So expand. Give them meaning. Why? Why is this an important insight? Then create that meaning, turn that meaning into motivation and action, which is the A. Okay, here's why this is important. Now, based upon that insight, here are some actions that I can take to do something with that. And then finally, the S. And the S is really the multiplier. Go share that with someone. Go share the idea, the insight, why it's important, the actions that you're going to commit to take, because that creates the accountability. And so with that very strategic thinking framework, you do that every week. At the end of every week, you'll come up with new insights, new ideas that you can turn into content to continue to elevate your brand and increase your influence. If someone wants to continue the conversation, maybe they got an idea, maybe they're like, listen, I want to be retellable. How can they connect with you?
They can just, we have a WhatsApp group, and they can just email me, and we can have them join the WhatsApp group. That's where we all collaborate. I try to keep it all out of the social media realm, where we're just really talking as raw and real as we want and can about whatever's going on in our world. So if they just want to email me at Jeremy Macliver, jeremy.macliver@eosworldwide.com, and we can connect and go from there.
Connect with Jeremy, learn with Jeremy, level up and grow with Jeremy, and Jeremy is going to tell you how to be retellable. Thanks so much, dude. I want to thank you again for tuning in to learn, to grow, to level up together with Jeremy's unique wisdom. Before we leave, are you a visionary entrepreneur who wants to turn video content just like the one that you've been watching into a published book so that you can elevate your brand and increase your influence? If this is you, send me a text. Text me 832-240-1922. That's because I want to teach you. I want to show you how you can transform your past experience as an entrepreneur into IP that monetizes your unique wisdom in just 90 days.